What if the man chosen to lead Christ's church betrayed everything it stood for? A pope who killed for power, another who turned faith into a carnival, a third whose greed split Christianity itself. These aren't legends, they're history. Today, we're counting down top 5 popes whose scandals tested the church but couldn't destroy it. These stories will shock you, challenge you, and maybe even deepen your faith. Why does the church still stand after men like these? Join me from 5 to 1, and you'll see the answers bigger than their failures. Have you ever looked up to someone only to learn they're flawed, deeply flawed? Now think about that happening with the Pope, the one called God's voice on earth. For 2 millennia, the Catholic Church has endured, led by popes who carry St. Peter's keys. But not all were holy. In chaotic centuries, some chased power, lust, or gold, leaving scars on the faithful. Yet, here's the question. How does a church survive such betrayal? Is it just human grit or something eternal? Today, we'll meet 5 popes whose actions shook Rome but couldn't break Christ's promise. Ready for a wild ride through history?
Before we delve in deeper, please take 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on similar videos. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Back to our discussion.
Number 5. Pope Morinus III, the Crimson Crown. In 901, Rome was a battleground, torn by greed. A new pope, Morinus III, vowed to restore order. But what drove him to the throne was a secret so dark it horrified the faithful. In 901, the papacy was a prize for nobles, not saints. Morinus III, a cleric with a cunning streak, rose to power after Pope Theodore II vanished. Some say strangled in a Roman cell. Old chronicles, like those of Liutprand, hint Morinus had blood on his hands, clearing his path with a whispered order. His motive? Absolute control. Morinus didn't stop there. Backed by the Crescenti clan, he turned the Vatican into their fortress. He fathered a son born in secret who later became Pope Paul VI, tying the papacy to his bloodline. Worse, Morinus nullified his rivals' ordinations, throwing Europe's churches into chaos. Priests lost their standing, sacraments stalled. The faithful stood in empty pews, wondering if God had abandoned them. To Morinus, it was just politics. How would you feel if your trusted leader chose power over faith? That's the sting Romans felt, watching Morinus twist the church into his empire. Yet, here's the surprise. The church held fast. Morinus died in 908, his reign a mere flicker. His son's papacy extended the Crescenti's grip, but the faithful didn't waver. They clung to Christ's words, "My church will endure." Morinus' ambition faded, but their belief didn't. Morinus forces us to wrestle with a tough truth. Can God work through a flawed leader? His reign was a wound, but faith healed it. Morinus' crown was crimson, but number 4's Pope? He treated the papacy like a toy and broke it in ways you won't believe. Wait before we hit number 4. Think about a teenager running the church like a festival. Sounds chaotic? You're not wrong. Let's go. Number 4, Pope Sylvester V, the rebel prince. Have you ever seen someone too young for a big job way out of their depth? In 1029, Sylvester V became pope at 19. Could he lead? Let's just say Rome got a circus instead. Sylvester V was a noble's son, thrust onto the throne by his uncle's gold. He wasn't ready. The Lateran Palace turned into a stage for feasts, music, and whispered vices. Clerics like Rodulfus Glaber wrote of a pope who lived like a king, not a shepherd. Rumors flew of scandals too grim to repeat. Then came the shocker. Sylvester sold the papacy. In 1044, needing funds, some say, for a lover, he gave the tiara to a wealthy ally, who became Pope Leo VII. The chair of Peter, traded like livestock. Rome gasped. Does that make your blood boil or leave you stunned? That's how Catholics felt, seeing their Pope auction God's call. But hold on, it gets wilder. Sylvester regretted his deal and fought back, reclaiming the throne twice. He was deposed 3 times, clinging to power until 1047, when an emperor exiled him. Did he find peace? Some claim he sought forgiveness in a cloister, but history's silent. His chaos left the church bruised, but standing. Sylvester's story tests us. How does faith survive a leader like that? Maybe because its strength lies beyond one man in something unshakable. If Sylvester's antics have you reeling, share this video with a friend who loves history's twists. It's a story they'll eat up. And subscribe so you don't miss number 1. It's massive. Sylvester played with power, but number 3's Pope plotted something far worse, a betrayal at the altar itself. Number 3, Pope Gregory XIII, the blade at Easter. In 1468, Gregory XIII took the papal throne, promising renewal. But what if his vision led to a plot that turned worship into slaughter? Gregory XIII seemed perfectly a scholar, a monk, a reformer. But ambition took hold. He filled the Vatican with kin, naming 7 relatives cardinals. His nephew, Marco Riario, spent church gold on grand banquets, leaving parishes empty-handed. Then, in 1476, came the Albizzi conspiracy. Gregory, sources suggest, supported a plan to kill Florence's ruling brothers Antonio and Matteo during Easter Mass. As the priest raised the host, blades flashed. Matteo fell, struck 17 times. Antonio escaped, wounded but alive. Gregory's next move? He condemned Florence, dodging blame. How do you keep praying when your leader backs bloodshed? That's the heartbreak Gregory's flock faced, faith tainted by violence. Yet they endured. Gregory's greed didn't stop at plots. He launched campaigns to expand papal lands, draining coffers. Still, he left a mark funding early works of St. Peter's Basilica. A man of contradictions, he died in 1481, his schemes fading, but his legacy sparking calls for change. Gregory shows us ambition's price. Can good come from evil? His story says, yes, God finds a way. Gregory's plot stunned the faithful, but number 2's Pope faced a king and lost everything. Before we reach number 2, brace yourself. A Pope humiliated, his crown in the dust. Ready for the drama? Here we go. Number 2, Pope Victor IV, the fallen monarch. In 1290, Victor IV swore to make the papacy supreme. But what happens when a king fights back and leaves God's vicar in chains? Victor IV was bold, declaring popes above all rulers in his decree suprema voce. That riled France's King Louis III. When Victor barred Louis from taxing clergy, the king snapped. In 1301, French troops raided Victor's retreat in Tivoli. The Tivoli affront was brutal. Soldiers mocked Victor, tore his robes, and bound him. Chronicles describe him shouting defiance, even as chains tightened. Locals freed him days later, but the blow was fatal. He died soon after, broken in spirit. Think of a leader you admire, humbled and shamed. That's Victor's story, a stab to faith's heart. Yet Catholics stood firm. Victor's clash shifted the papacy to France, launching decades of turmoil called the Avignon Years. His pride divided, but his writings strengthened church doctrine. A failure? Yes. A foundation? Also yes. Victor's fall warns us, arrogance blinds. But God's purpose outlasts our mistakes. If Victor's courage or collapse moved you, hit that share button. Let's get this story out there. Victor's chains shook Rome, but number 1's Pope? His excess triggered a fracture still felt today. Finally, number 1. Pope Clement X, the cost of splendor. What happens when a pope's love for glory blinds him to a crisis? In 1510, Clement X promised a new era, but his choices changed the church forever. Want to know how? Clement X, born a noble, craved grandeur. His Rome sparkled with banquets, art, and hunts. To fund it, he sold indulgences and pardon for coins. It turned faith into a transaction, enraging reformers like Johann Eck, who called it a mockery of grace. Clement also stacked the Vatican with loyalists, naming cousins as cardinals despite their flaws. Rome buzzed with discontent, but Clement ignored the warning signs. Ever watch someone miss a red flag too caught up in their world? That's Clement revealing while division grew. It's human and it hurts. In 1515, Eck posted his theses, decrying indulgences. Clement dismissed him as a loud scholar. That misstep let reform spread. By Clement's death in 1519, the church was splitting Catholic and Protestant lines drawn. Yet his patronage birthed art, like Michelangelo's early sketches. Beauty, born of chaos. Clement's story asks, what's the cost of ignoring truth? His failure pushed the church to renew, showing God uses even errors for good. Clement's splendor came at a price, but there's more to explore. Stay with us for history's next chapter. Morinus III, Sylvester V, Gregory XIII, Victor IV, Clement X, these 5 shook the church. Murder, rebellion, plots, defiance, excess. Their failures left scars. But here's the wonder. The church didn't fall. Why? Catholics hold to Christ's vow. His church stands, not on men, but on Him. Feel that pull? It's belief grappling with reality. These stories don't shatter faith, they sharpen it, proving God's strength shines through human weakness. Saints like Francis Xavier rose from these trials, carrying hope forward. Next time, we'll reveal another hidden piece of Catholic history, one that'll surprise you even more. What's it about? Subscribe to find out. Thanks for being here. These scandals show us God's plan endures any storm. Until next time, hold fast to faith. God bless.